Would Spider-Man make a better green or blue lantern? And who spreads more fear, Thanos or Doctor Doom? Yet again, I'll be explaining the powers and rules of every major Lantern Corps from DC Comics, and picking 3 ideal candidates for each, all from the world of Marvel. I'll cover the whole emotional spectrum, plus the white and black cores of life and death. I guarantee my final pick for the Black Lanterns will surprise you. It's a real deep cut, so be sure to stick around for that one. Starting us off at the top of the emotional spectrum are the Red Lanterns, who burn with the light of rage. Using the fiery red power of anger, the Red Lanterns' rings create a blood pact with their wearers, transforming their blood into burning plasma, that they can then spit up this plasma and burn through the hard light constructs of other lantern colors. Red Lanterns are violent and ruthless, often at their own expense. The self-destructive red ring can't be removed without killing the user, because they dedicated their lives to rage and hatred. However, the healing hope of a blue ring can return their body to normal. Plenty of Marvel characters are angry enough to use a red ring. Wolverine is always a grump, Punisher's eternal mission is rooted in anger, and Ghost Rider's vengeance often arises from just anger. But I picked 3 characters whose anger is essential to who they are and what they do, and they have all been angry enough that it was self-destructive and shattered their relationships as they receded into rage. First is probably the most obvious pick in the history of anything ever, the Incredible Hulk. The terrifying alter ego of Bruce Banner, Hulk is a psychological mechanism composed entirely of Bruce's repressed rage from his childhood abuse. Hulk is anger, and the madder he gets, the stronger he gets. Putting a red ring on his finger is basically like powering a TV remote with a nuclear reactor. Hulk would supercharge and overload a red ring, likely becoming the most powerful Red Lantern in history, and if by chance he's not strong enough to defeat an enemy, he very quickly will be, as the loss makes him angrier and angrier. My second choice is an assassin fueled by her wrath, who had to battle against her bloodthirsty nature after being resurrected from death, Elektra. Elektra's entire life has been defined by tragedy. Her father was murdered, she's been betrayed multiple times by the people closest to her, so she's completely dedicated herself to revenge on those who took so much from her. And because of her training under the Hand, she specifically learned to focus her anger into cold, precise action. She wouldn't succumb to the power of rage like many Red Lanterns, instead mastering the power and controlling it. Even the Blood Pact wouldn't be anything new to her. Faustian bargains to attain power is basically Elektra's normal Tuesday afternoon at this point. And finally, my favorite pick for the Red Corps, wielder of the legendary Necro Sword, Gore the God Butcher. Once a peaceful and pious religious man, he prayed diligently that the gods would help his very poor people, but despite his devotion, his friends and family all died from a lack of food and water. And when he later learned that the gods do exist and were choosing not to help, he started a bloody campaign across all of reality, setting out to slaughter every single deity, even the benevolent ones like Thor. Gore was already a practically unstoppable force. With the strength of a red ring, powered by his rage against the gods, he would butcher the entire pantheon. And that's not even mentioning how a red ring and the Necro Sword would interact, probably creating some of the coolest and most deadly constructs ever. Moving on to our next core, the Orange Lantern Ring is powered by greed, and it's not actually a core. Because the orange light of avarice is a corruptive power, it bleeds into the mind of someone who's naturally greedy and makes them obsess over owning everything. Anyone with an orange ring never wants to share with anyone else, so they end up as a single user instead of an entire core, and can use the light to create living constructs of every previous orange ring user to fight for him as a one-man army. The orange light is very manipulative, making the owner paranoid that everyone is out to steal the ring and everything else they own. I picked 3 Marvel characters, but remember that usually only one of them would use the orange ring at a time. Up top, I want to pick out a few honorable mentions. I obviously need to mention the Collector, Tannelir Tavan. One of the Elders of the Universe, he's obsessed with owning artifacts and even living beings. I don't think the orange ring would actually change him at all, which is why I didn't pick him, although he would be very powerful with it. Also, Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, and Emma Frost would both make great Orange Lanterns, always scheming for ways to amass power and wealth. But none of those are my final picks. My first real choice goes to everyone's favorite criminal femme fatale, Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. Felicia has always been motivated by greed above all else. Not just to own objects, she really loves her treasures, but she also loves the experiences of duping others and getting away with it. It's like a drug to her, and an orange ring would make her a complete junkie. Plus, Felicia has a passive, luck-based superpower that tends to lead circumstances her way. Stacking this with the Orange Ring's ability to generate an entire team of thieves to assist her on any stakeout, and she is cleaning house anywhere and everywhere she chooses to rob. GG. My next pick is also a thief, but a very different variety of thief. Instead of stealing from people or organizations, Ulysses Claw steals from entire nations. Obsessed with vibranium and frequently infiltrating and terrorizing the forces of Wakanda, Claw only cares about his bottom line, often making cutthroat deals and devastating communities for his next big score. Using the Orange Ring, he would be able to wage all-out war with an army of mercenaries against Wakanda, the United States, and any other nation unfortunate enough to own any of his precious vibranium. He would likely make it his mission to own every ounce of the metal on Earth, and probably move on to adamantium next. But Claw isn't even the worst man to get his hands on an orange ring. That title goes to the wannabe emperor of everything and god of mischief, Loki. Loki is greedy, yeah. He's always looking for a way to seize power from those who actually deserve it, but he's significantly more dangerous because of his crafty mind. The Orange Army, paired with his illusory magic and trickster machinations, would lead to the toppling of Asgard and anyone else unlucky enough to get in his way. And unlike Claw, Loki is a god. He has knowledge of everything the universe has to offer. Cosmic cubes, infinity stones, ultimate nullifiers, and he would need to own each and every one of them. An orange ring Loki is absolutely terrifying. And speaking of terrifying, the Sinestro Corps of Yellow Lanterns use the power of fear. A yellow ring is charged by your own fear, but also your ability to scare others. And under Sinestro, they do this to force their enemies into subjugation, creating order through fear. Yellow Lantern rings can implicitly read your mind and make constructs of your greatest fears. Sort of like the alien from It, they work best on people who have concrete, tangible fears, like sharks or bugs. To be drafted as a Yellow Lantern, you have to be scary and be good at using that fear to control others. There are hundreds of excellent choices amongst the villains of Marvel, who all love to spread fear and weaponize it. For those wondering, my top runner-up is Norman Osborn's Green Goblin, who's certainly scary, but I preferred villains for this core that replicates Sinestro's MO, ruling populations through their fear. My first choice is the mutant supremacy advocate and dictator of Genosha, Magneto. A victim of a totalitarian regime as a child and a lifelong sufferer of anti-mutant discrimination and harassment, Eric developed a deep-seated hatred for Homo sapiens. He waged war on the world of non-mutants, first by founding a group designed exclusively for terror, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, little on the nose. After being thwarted countless times by Professor Xavier and the X-Men, he changed his approach. Using his magnetic powers to manipulate the Earth's northern magnetic pole, he took the entire world hostage until he was granted the landmass of Genosha. And after the enormous influx of mutants into this island country, he immediately tried to turn them into a giant army to conquer the rest of the world. Magneto is a power-mad despot who wants regular humans to suffer the fear that he's been subjected to for decades, and that's why he would be a perfect Yellow Lantern. My next pick, actually a member of that, big, mean group of Germans who were really unkind to a young Magneto, is Red Skull, the face of evil. Johann Schmidt was discovered and trained by German Mustache Man himself to be the perfect soldier. No joke, because he could supernaturally sense their shared hatred of all mankind. Old comics are goofy, man. He wore the skull mask specifically to strike fear into the hearts of his enemies, and became so ruthless that the Mustache Man himself feared what he had created. After the fall of the Third Reich and several deaths, rebirths, a few clones, Red Skull now acts primarily as a terrorist who desires nothing else than the death of Steve Rogers, the United States, and the concept of liberty in general. He's even founded his own team, the S-Men, specifically as a hate group to destroy the X-Men. Red Skull would use a yellow ring to rip up society from the roots. And finally, my favorite pick to wield the power of fear, Emperor Emperor of Latveria and self-proclaimed God King of all reality, Victor Von Doom. Dr. Doom isn't just feared, he demands to be feared. A master sorcerer, scientific genius, an unrepentant dictator, Doom controls an entire nation with an iron grip, and constantly threatens the rest of the world just to prove he can. His ego is so massive that he once made a suit out of the skin of his dead ex-girlfriend just to absorb more evil magical power. Doom has gone toe-to-toe with gods, stolen the power of the Beyonders, and ruled Battleworld itself during Secret Wars. Every move he makes is calculated, domineering, and steeped in intimidation. Doom doesn't conquer with brute force alone, he wins because people believe they've already lost. That is the truest essence of fear. But with fear behind us, let's take a look at those who can conquer it. The Green Lantern Corps is fueled by raw willpower, unyielding determination in the face of hopeless odds. These aren't just heroes, they're fighters, survivors, the backbone of cosmic law enforcement, people who push through pain, doubt, and loss, not because it's easy, but because they have to. Marvel has a long list of candidates who already embody this. Honorable mentions go to Captain America, Thor, Jean Grey, Black Panther, Iron Man. I could go on forever, but these next three, they stand at the top. First up is Daredevil. Matt Murdock is a Catholic ninja lawyer who fights gangsters at night despite being blind and despite the fact that he gets the absolute crap kicked out of him constantly. He loses more than he wins. He's been maimed, manipulated, betrayed, and emotionally destroyed more times than we can count, and every time he gets back up. Whether it's the Kingpin crushing his life, Bullseye killing his girlfriends, or literal devils trying to claim his soul, Daredevil pushes forward with grim resolve. He's blind, but he sees through every lie. He's broken, but never bows. He's Catholic, and they're all about embracing their suffering. No matter how dark Hell's Kitchen gets, Matt chooses to keep fighting, and that makes him the perfect Green Lantern. Someone who doesn't just face fear, he fights it. A red ring would probably tempt him. A blue ring might soothe him, but green was always his color. I mean, come on, he's Irish. My next pick got a soft mention in the red section earlier, but green is really the better fit. Wolverine. Logan may be the best there is at what he does, but what he does ain't pretty. And yet, despite all the bloodshed, all the trauma, all the centuries of violence, the dude refuses to stay down. Sure, Logan is rage, Logan is pain, but mostly, Logan is tired. And underneath the berserker fury and adamantium claws is an iron will that's weathered centuries of torment. He's been experimented on, mind-wiped, cloned, hunted, and forced to kill his loved ones. And still, he is the first one through the wall. Wolverine never backs down, even in the face of death. Hell, especially in the face of death. He claws his way forward. He doesn't want to be a hero, he doesn't even think he deserves to be one, but he acts like one every damn day. And if that's not Green Lantern material, nothing is. And finally, the heart of the Marvel Universe, Spider-Man. This one was tough. Peter is a prime candidate for both green and blue, but I ultimately chose green because his whole life is a testament to relentless willpower. He gets beaten down physically, emotionally, existentially, and he still gets back up every time. From the death of Uncle Ben, to losing Gwen Stacy, or his job, or his marriage, or his friends, or basically every event comic ever, Peter keeps swinging. He juggles superheroics with Rent, Grief, Guilt, and J. Jonah Jameson, and still chooses to put others before himself. He could give up the costume, he could live a normal life, but he doesn't. Because with great power comes great responsibility. And as a viewer, you have a tremendous responsibility to drop a like and subscribe. Show me you like this content, and consider joining my channel membership, where you'll get to see my new videos early, access my Discord and polls on what videos I put out next, so use some of that willpower and go get moving. Okay, back to the video. While willpower drives you to act, hope gives you a reason to keep going. The Blue Lantern Corps represents optimism in the face of despair. Blue rings supercharge green rings and calm red ones, but they're almost completely inert in battle unless supported by will. That's the core of hope. It's not about what you can do, it's about what you believe others can do. These are the characters who shine brightest when the world is at its darkest. Not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. They inspire belief. Honorable mention to Nightcrawler here, a man of faith and compassion who trudges on through endless anti-mutant bigotry. But these next three truly radiate the blue. First up, everybody's favorite big orange mensch, the Thing. Ben Grimm is a walking rock monster who could have spiraled into bitterness and rage, but instead became the Fantastic Four's beating heart. He may look like a monster, but he's one of the most human characters in all of Marvel. Despite being trapped in a body made of orange rock, Ben rarely wallows. He cracks jokes, he looks after the team, he carries emotional burdens so others don't have to. His loyalty and love for his family, and all of humanity, are unwavering. Even when he doubts himself, he never stops hoping that he'll find peace, hoping that the world can be better. A Blue Lantern doesn't need to be loud about their hope, they just need to be unwavering. Sometimes, hope is built like a brick wall. Next up, what could be more indicative of hopefulness than a civil rights figurehead? Enter Professor X. Now, say what you will about Charles Xavier, and we all have, but the man has never stopped hoping for a better future. Even in a world that constantly tries to exterminate his people, Xavier keeps pushing towards peace. He built a school, not an army. He teaches kindness, empathy, coexistence. And every time that dream is shattered by genocide, betrayal, even his own students, he rebuilds it. Xavier's hope is maddening, idealistic, and often completely irrational, and yet he believes. He always has. He hopes not just for himself, but for everyone. That is the kind of hope a blue ring shines for. And finally, what other choice is there than the star-spangled man with a plan, Captain America? Steve Rogers is hope on legs. He is the living embodiment of belief in a better tomorrow. Born in poverty, raised in hardship, and rejected by the system, Steve still believed in the ideals his country couldn't live up to. That belief turned him into a symbol, a leader, and sometimes a weapon. But at his core, Cap has always chosen people over power. Even when the government fails, when the Avengers fail, when everything turns to dust, Cap plants his feet, tightens his shield straps, and walks into the storm. He can do this all day because he believes tomorrow can be better, and he's willing to fight for it. But now we move from the brightest hope to the darkest redemption. The Indigo tribe is weird. Instead of finding the most compassionate people in the universe, they actively look for the least compassionate, the absolute monsters, and forcibly overload their brains with empathy, granting them the powers of teleportation and any other color ring that happens to be in close proximity. Indigo rings are basically magical rehab for the worst people in the universe, and boy oh boy does Marvel have some psychos. So I picked 3 of Marvel's most despicable villains, the kind of people who need this ring the most. Off the top, if you ever in your life thought that Venom was scary, you clearly have never met Carnage. Cletus Cassidy is evil, plain and simple. A remorseless killer fused with a bloodthirsty symbiote, Carnage sees murder as art and chaos as beauty. He's done everything from cult leadership to mass genocide, all with a big creepy smile. But an Indigo ring wouldn't care how far gone he is. It would force him to feel, to understand pain instead of causing it, to mourn the lives he's taken. For someone like Carnage, compassion wouldn't just be a new power, it would be torture, and that's why the ring would cling to him like tar. Now, a compassion-forced Carnage would be absolutely terrifying, but hey, if it works, that's one less intergalactic blood tornado that we have to worry about. My second pick is very similar to Carnage in that they both just love murder so dang much. Sabretooth. Victor Creed is the meanest dog in Marvel. He's like Wolverine's evil twin if he stopped developing emotionally at age 12 and just got really into killing. A brutal, feral predator who enjoys hunting people, especially if those people happen to be Wolverine. Sabretooth kills not out of necessity, but pleasure. He's betrayed every team he's ever been on and gutted more allies than enemies. But beneath that savagery is someone. Maybe. An Indigo ring would rip open the part of him that remembers pain, vulnerability, and love. It wouldn't ask him to be good, it would force him to try. And that might be the only way he ever finds any semblance of peace. Other than killing Wolverine, obviously. And last but not least, Mr. Sinister. Nathaniel Essex is a brilliant, flamboyant, clone-happy geneticist who views people as nothing more than lab rats. He manipulates, betrays, and mutilates in pursuit of perfecting mutant kind, which usually involves some kidnapping, torture, or horrific cloning experiments. Sinister has no empathy, no guilt, no line that he won't cross. He experimented on his own dead son. He's the reason Cyclops was separated from his family as a child, and he's the one who released the legacy virus, which nearly killed every single mutant on the planet. But all that makes him the perfect target for an Indigo ring. Imagine that genius turned toward healing instead of harm. Imagine him caring. Now, the idea of Sinister as a being of compassion is equal parts hilarious and horrifying. But that's the Indigo way. Now, shifting away from compassion to the final color of the classic spectrum, the Star Sapphires wield the light of love, and not just the pure, heartwarming kind. Love in the DC universe is messy, obsessive, unrequited, possessive. It all works. And the Marvel universe has plenty of all of that to go around for sure. The violet light doesn't judge. It grants the power to create crystalline constructs to trap or protect a wielder's beloved, and violet rings go stronger the more sapphires are present. Love is what binds us, breaks us, and sometimes destroys us. So I picked 3 Marvel characters who've defined their lives around it, for better or worse. My first honorable mention is the Vision, a robot who somehow managed to experience love as powerfully as any human, but I think his beloved is a much better first choice. The Scarlet Witch. Wanda Maximoff's story is steeped in love, and in the tragedy that follows when her love is taken away. Her devotion to Vision, her children, her brother, it's so powerful that it's rewritten reality. She created a fake family, an entire town, just so she could hold on to that love for a few more moments. And that love for her lost kids was the genesis of the House of M storyline in the comics. She tried to build a peaceful world, a happy life, even if it meant imprisoning others to do it. A violet ring doesn't discriminate between healthy and harmful, it only asks that you feel deeply, and Wanda feels more deeply than almost anyone in the multiverse. Wanda's grief was cataclysmic, but what is grief if not love persevering? That level of emotional intensity would cause a violet ring to sprint across the galaxy, straight to her. Moving on to a little bit of a lighter pick, my second choice is the smooth-talking ladies' man, Gambit. Remy LeBeau is about to make a name for himself here. Thief, a flirt, a scoundrel, and a hopeless romantic. His love for Rogue is unwavering, even when she can't return it the way that he wants. He's fought for her, died for her, waited for her. Even when tempted by others, Gambit always circles back to Rogue. That kind of loyalty, that refusal to give up, even when her mutation means the two of them will never touch, it hurts. But that's love. Messy, frustrating, real love. And that's exactly what a Star Sapphire feeds on. And finally, the Thunder God's crazy stalker ex-girlfriend, Enchantress. Amora the Enchantress is all about seductive, manipulative love. She's weaponized her beauty and charm to manipulate gods, kings, and superheroes alike, but beneath that lies a real longing, a desire to be seen, adored, worshipped. Her love might be toxic and self-serving, her constant pining after Thor certainly has ulterior motives, but it's undeniably potent. If a violet ring found her, she wouldn't resist it, she'd embrace it, amplify it, and probably turn it into a magical MLM if we're being honest, but hey, it would still shine very bright. Now, when I think about lover boys in the Marvel Universe, of course my first thought is Lady Death's biggest simp, but he actually slots pretty well into our next core. That's right, now we enter the void, where the emotional spectrum ends and all that remains is death. The Black Lantern Corps is powered by the absence of life itself. Their rings seek out the dead, the formerly dead, or those who embody death so completely they might as well be corpses already. They mimic the powers of other rings, shut down emotional light in their presence, and raise an army of the fallen to spread rot across the universe. These are characters who don't just flirt with death, they embody it and spread it throughout the entire universe. My first pick, obviously, is the Mad Titan Thanos. He isn't just comfortable with death, he's in love with it. In the comics, he's romantically obsessed with the physical embodiment of death, committing cosmic genocide just to win her affections. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal. The man wiped out half the universe as a pickup line. Even outside of that twisted love story, Thanos sees death as sacred, inevitable, a cosmic truth to be embraced, not feared. If the Black Ring had a prophet, it would be Thanos. He wouldn't resist its pull, he'd greet it with open arms and immediately begin balancing the population of the multiverse all over again. Secondly, and one of the only MCU villains that I would pay to see fight Thanos, Hela. As the Asgardian goddess of death, Hela doesn't just deal in dying, she rules it. She commands the souls of the fallen, walks hand in hand with decay, and governs entire realms where the dead dwell, both Hell and Niflheim. In both comics and film, Hela radiates menace, elegance, and finality. Her version of justice is eternal, unforgiving, and rooted in the knowledge that everything must end. She's not evil in the traditional sense, she simply doesn't value life the way mortals do. With a black ring, Hela wouldn't change, she would ascend. She would stretch her bony fingers beyond hell and into every corner of existence, claiming all life for her cold throne. An undead goddess made even more powerful by the lightless void. And finally, my favorite pick, and a bit of a deep cut, the First Firmament. The original universe, a living, sentient causality. The First Firmament was betrayed by its own creations, the Celestials, and shattered into fragments, which became the many universes of the multiverse. But afterwards, it didn't die in the traditional sense. It became vengeance, a cosmic specter obsessed with undoing everything that came after it. It seeks to erase the multiverse entirely and restore a time when it alone reigned supreme. This is death not as an end, but as a reversal. It wants to rewind reality, unwrite existence, unwrite life. It's not a god, it's the ghost of the first god. The First Firmament is a primordial entity of vengeance and emptiness cloaked in cosmic mourning. The Black Ring would be but a simple tool in its hands, helping him unmake all that followed him. But if death is to unmake that which exists, life is fundamentally creation, expansion, freedom, and a complete mastery of every emotion one experiences while dwindling across this mortal coil, which leads us to the White Lantern Corps, powered by life itself. The White Ring is the rarest of them all, requiring the full spectrum of emotion and an understanding of balance, which grants the wielder the power of every colored ring, as well as the endless creative energy of the life equation. It's not just about surviving, it's about balance, wholeness, and the choice to live when everything around you is falling apart. These aren't just characters who defy death, they transcend it. Each of these three has touched the void and come back stronger, wiser, and more connected to all living things than ever before. First up, the original X-Men member and living incarnation of the unstoppable Phoenix Force, Jean Grey. Jean has died more times than most comic book characters get costume changes. She's been the host of the Phoenix Force, the martyr of mutant kind, the destroyer of planets, and the savior of worlds. She's seen the end of everything, and yet she always comes back, choosing to fight, to love, to live. But through every transformation, resurrection, and identity crisis, Jean returns to one truth. She chooses life. Her connection to the emotional spectrum is immense. She's felt rage, love, hope, fear, and compassion on galactic scales. And still, she centers herself in purpose and rebirth. A white ring wouldn't change her, it would align with her completely. Jean is life unbroken. Scarred, sure, but never extinguished. My second choice is the cosmic wonder child, Franklin Richards. As the son of Reed and Sue, nephew of Ben and Johnny, Franklin Richards has inherited all the greatest traits of Marvel's first family. Reed's curiosity, Sue's caring nature, Johnny's zeal for life, and Ben's unending hope. But that's not all he inherited. Franklin isn't just a powerful mutant, he is a literal godling. This kid has created entire universes on a whim, shaping reality as easily as other kids stack Lego bricks. And yet, this power isn't what makes him a White Lantern, it's how he uses it. Franklin builds, protects, and creates, not out of ego, but out of empathy. He doesn't want to dominate or manipulate, he wants to understand. Even in stories where he's forced into combat, his focus is always on preserving life, not taking it. He is so used to the incredible power that a white ring would offer that when he received one, it wouldn't be a tool to him. It would be a natural extension of his purpose, creation as a form of compassion. And lastly, my favorite choice for the White Ring, and admittedly one of my favorite Marvel characters in general, the Silver Surfer. Norrin Radd made the ultimate sacrifice, offering his life and freedom to Galactus to save his homeworld. As the Silver Surfer, he served as the Herald of Destruction, guiding the World Eater to countless planets, constantly wrestling with the guilt of his decision. But when he broke free of Galactus' control, he became something else entirely. A wanderer, a philosopher, a healer. Norrin has traveled more of the universe than most cosmic beings, and through all that experience, he's come to understand life in all its forms. Its joy, its pain, its persistence, the entire emotional spectrum. He is the most thoughtful, reflective character perhaps in the entire Marvel universe. Who better understands life at its most fundamental level? The Surfer isn't just a survivor of death, he is a protector of everything that isn't. He's already familiar with the power cosmic, only a step down from the limitless potential of a White Lantern's power. He could finally quell his years of guilt, returning life to those worlds wiped away by Galactus under his watch. With a White Ring, he wouldn't just be a guardian or a witness, he would be a creator. Surfer is probably my second favorite pick I've ever given a White Lantern ring to. If you want to see my other choices, check out these videos where I gave lantern rings to characters from anime, video games, and cartoons. Stay frosty.